Next Monday night, it's 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. As you already see, I got my boy KV side by side, back in the saddle. Sorry we're running late, but we got an action-packed show for you tonight. I don't know if that's the proper depiction of it, but we got a show for you tonight, okay? Sorry, I'm having lighting issues. You can hear me, I hope, okay? Tell somebody we're on the tag team, KV and DV, DeVille, and the Dirty on together. Dialogue with Dozie is back in the airways, and we're back live. So let me first say thank you to Almighty God for being back on my feet again. It's been a rough 3.5 weeks, but back at it again, and so grateful to the Go Giga. I am so grateful to the Go Giga team for holding us up and putting very time-relevant programs on in our absence, and we're just glad. Listen, we're going to start the night show. KB, what's up first, man?
Just thankful to be here, bro. Just thankful to be here.
Glad to see you, man. Glad to see you as always. Glad to see you as always. Listen, tonight we're going to start the night show with a couple of dedications. The first one is to former Congressman, retired Congressman Charlie Rangel, who served in the U.S. Congress for over 20 years, representing the Harlem, New York district and representing it well. And we are grateful for what he brought to our nation and how he represented us, and for how he never forgot where he came from. All beginnings, an undertaker in his own right, his own shop, and blessed people through that, and saw the needs in his community and thought that he could serve, and serve he did. At the end, there was some deals, some things that he had to deal with, but he left the Congress on his own right, and sat down and had a little life after leaving the Congress. We thank God for Congressman Charlie Rangel, who served and represented and was at a time the head of the Black Congress, the head of the Black Congressional Congress. And also, sadly, today, Madam Producer let me know as we were putting the show together, I had not even learned it yet, that Sylvester Stone, better known to us all as Sly, one of the greatest musical minds this world would have ever seen. Sylvester Stone, Sly Stone, who was the band leader of Sly and the Family Stone. Listen, Sly was doing it with an integrated band way back when it was unpopular in the 60s. I'm Just Everyday People, or some of the songs, some of my favorites were If You Want Me to Stay, I'll Be Around Today. He had others. I heard that Gush Kill. He had others. K Sarah, his own version of that, and Family Affair, just an array of hits. Sly was just a musical genius. He had come back with an album that was debuting on YouTube, or maybe it has already debuted in the recent months. And he also has, if you really want to learn the ins and outs, Sly, we understand the initial cause of death of COPD. Sly wrestled with the demons of drug addiction, and he gained a lot, lost a lot, but he never lost respect for his musical talents, his musical abilities, and his ability to pull all people together around the gift of music. We will see you both in the dawn, and thank you for what you meant to us on this earth. All right, we're back at tonight's dialogue. KV, what's up? So,
bro,
tonight's show, let me just tell you, give you a couple of teasers of what we're going to talk about. I'm going to work on this late when I'm off camera. We're going to talk about what we just saw in California, what's been happening all weekend, the protest, and the 47th reaction to it. You know, he couldn't wait to activate the National Guard. He has a battalion of 700 U.S. Marines headed to the scene where people are protesting. We're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about we're going to dialogue as to whether or not whether or not there's a real rift between he and Elon Musk, or if that's just some bull jive that they are working together to okie doke, to get us fooled while something else, like perhaps wink wink, the bill that they are both that benefits the two of them, to see if that's what really the okie doke is. But I just couldn't wait to head to this. I saw this before I left. I was gone a week, and KV, you posted a post on Facebook,
Mm-hmm.
and the picture, we can go ahead and show it. And you ask a question. As you can see, there are Caucasians that are in chains, as we were actually in chains during the slave trade, and the roles are reversed. There is a Caucasian. These are Caucasians as functioning as slaves with black slave master, black guards, and as you know, that the reality is that the roles were reversed. We were the ones in chains, and they were the ones with the guns and the guards who came after us. And Kim, just kind of talk about some of the responses, and I'm gonna join you on that. Just go ahead and lead that, please.
So I saw this post. Someone else had posted it, so I reposted it along with this picture. Were two or three other pictures. One was a black small child looking at a group of or a white small child looking at a group of black baby dolls. For the longest, you couldn't find black baby dolls. We had to buy white baby dolls for our kids. Our kids weren't able to buy black baby dolls, so we had a picture of a small white girl looking at a group of in the store looking at a bunch of black baby doll toys. And then the other one was some Korean women sitting getting their getting a pedicure done by some Caucasian females. So, and it just made me think, what if roles would have been reversed? So I reposted it just for conversation, because I like to keep that subject talking. People say that racism doesn't exist anymore, and that it's gone and done. People don't live that lifestyle anymore. Well, live. I invite all my Caucasian or non-black friends to live a day in my skin, and then that way you can see what still exists and what doesn't exist. So I posted this, and I got some real good comments from it. I'm sure we'll jump into it a little bit later, but we got a bunch of different comments. I had a lot of my friends that I work with, police officers that I work with, and just other friends saying, why did you post this? This is racist. And I just got a whole lot of comments, and why I keep bringing up the past. And my answer to that is because I got grandkids. You're already trying to get rid of our history. They're not teaching it in schools anymore. It's illegal to teach it in schools here in the state of Florida because of our crazy so-and-so governor, and our president isn't any better. So you're trying to erase our history. And to me, I want to keep the conversation going, because I think history is important. We teach it so that it doesn't repeat itself, is what I've always been told. So that was my main reason for posting this, just to generate some good conversation. And I did get some good comments out of it. I think some of my friends were upset when they saw it. And if you're upset about it, I mean, that picture bothers you, that makes me wonder if you want it to still be like that or something, it's a lot went on with that particular post. So as proof, you wanted to, talk about it on the show tonight. So,
well, you explained why you posted it. Which I was actually, really surprised. I was totally surprised, because usually you kind of keep it a little safer, and we know, Jacksonville is this red area that is currently has a blue mirror, and has had blue mirrors, a couple of blue mirrors over the last 20 years, and you had black police chiefs, and you got pretty much a black city council, a lot of blacks on the city council, but Jacksonville's reputation is not always that it's the most liberal or progressive or left-leaning if you want to say. And I was just surprised actually that you did post such a thing. But the reaction to it, well, I said, oh man, even though I'm going to read some of the reactions that from the post, but the reactions, I won't call the names, I'll just say what they said. The reactions, probably maybe 30% of them were bared the fact of what you're saying, that Jacksonville is what it is. It's still, racist because of some of the people that did it. And then the other part of it is that another 75 or more percent came through and had a progressive viewpoint. How did those percentages grab you? Was that expected, or did you expect?
I did expect certain people that I knew some certain ones of my friends were going to comment on it, and I already knew what their comments were going to be. All they had to do was put their name by it, and I could have wrote that same comment down probably next to it. But those guys are friends of mine, and I say they're friends, and I honestly know that three of them, I could call them. We debate all the time on Facebook about race issues and racism, I guess I should say. And what's going on today is still the same stuff that went on years ago. They're just doing it differently. And when I bring stuff up like that, they always comment. So I knew they were coming, and I knew what their comments were going to say. But like I say on all my posts, I welcome anyone to comment on my posts. You don't even have to be a friend or on my friend list. You're welcome to comment on my post, but don't come with the name calling and all that Democratic, Republican Party bull junk, because I get tired of hearing that. To me, it's not about the party. People are so caught up on these parties nowadays that they forget a person's character, I think. And that's what I look for in a politician. I look at their character, their knowledge of the issues of the current events. I look at what I think they believe in. Naturally, that's a big part of it. People say, well, that's the party issues, but not always. It's all about party. People get so caught up in that party thing when they get the name calling, and that's what I can't deal with. That's not allowed on my page. So, but I knew what certain friends were going to comment. Now, like I said, I knew what some of them were going to say. Had a couple of comments from friends that kind of shocked me. I didn't think they would say well, like one of my friends say, why do you dwell on the past? I dwell on the past because I have grandkids, and I'm not going to let you get away with erasing my history with just because you're ashamed of what went on. If you're ashamed of it, so what? We're not asking for apology. We're just asking that you acknowledge what happened, and that's what history is all about. You acknowledge it, what happened. Some people don't even want to acknowledge it. They want it to just go away and not even act like it never existed. I can't do that. You can't have a conversation with me without me, saying no way. So
Mac, we're going to read a couple of these, and if you get a chance, Mac, go over to Kim's page and look at it. He has 133 responses. When I went offline Sunday, the 1st of June, there were like maybe 5 or 6, and the responses are very leaning more to supporting what Kim is saying now. But let me read 2 of them. And first of all, Kim, let me read this first one. And I have you and I have had questions about this individual, and you have said to me, because he's had questionable posts, comments, rebuttals to some of the things I've written, and you may notice I try to be pull away from a lot of stuff, particularly since doing the dialogue in the last year or so. I really, tried to really be very neutral, and he has found ways to always want to gather conversation with me, and I keep saying, you man, your boy better leave me alone because it's gonna run out. Well, let me read you his comments. His initial comment. His comment was, let me see it. I said it and I said, okay, let me read his initial comment. Doggone it.
Is it the one I agree? I'm surprised, Kim Varner, you put this on here.
Well, that's the other guy. We're gonna get to him. He's the one that evoked most of it. This is the guy that you and I knew. The other guy I met through this. I haven't met him, but we've gone back and forth a little bit. Okay, Okay, he says, well, no, this isn't the initial because he is signing on to the first guy. But so let's go to that guy and see what he had to say. This is what he had to say. Um, and this may not be the first one, his first response. Uh, he said, he said he has two. He says, if it was, I wouldn't play the victim and expect everyone in the government to owe me. I wouldn't create my own language where I can say things, but everyone is not allowed. I wouldn't blame you for having over 50% in prisons and jails. We're making up to 13.5% of the U.S. populations. I wouldn't expect Hollywood/media to go broke showing off me and not making a dime at the box office and views on TV. I would be mad if all the dads like me were not there for their children and have them raised by the streets, or single moms with 7, 8 children. Wow. In order to receive more money from the government for housing and food so I can lay on the couch, not work, and draw unemployment. Can't believe it. No, I would eventually get out of these chains, go to school, listen to my parents, stay out of trouble with the law, respect everyone, make something myself with government assistance, and have a family and raise them with God putting Him first. That's what I would do if I were in change. Oh, and I wouldn't, for God's sake, ask for reparations.
You know, I saw his comment, and I know that person very well. He's actually a good guy. Daddy was crazy about him. He crazy about Daddy. We comment on other comments away from these type of issues all the time on Facebook. He battles it out with one of my good friends on Facebook about these type of issues of Trumpism and all that kind of stuff. But I put on his comments. I don't know if you saw what I put there. I said, I think I put you don't even believe your own post, and that post what he put on there was just straight stupid. I didn't even respond to it. It's like I said, you don't even believe your own post. He put all that junk in there, and if you want to do that based on stats, his stats are wrong. Actually, a lot of people think that more blacks are arrested for murder than whites, and that's incorrect. I was just looking at some stats the other day. I'm a stat guy. I go by numbers. Don't tell me what's happening out there, and don't bring no numbers to prove it. So I look at numbers, and the numbers show that there are more whites in prison for murder than blacks. You know, so it's people say stuff what they hear on the media, and the media always puts things out because of blacks. They put black stuff on out there on the hot topic. Then they don't post on. The true fact is most crimes are committed with people that they know. Most shootings, homicides, and stuff like that are people that they actually know. Is what statistics show. So all his stats right there, what he's talking about is just he got that straight out the media.
Let me read some more. Another one of this is a response. I don't know if it was to you, but this is another big post, and he got a lot of rebuttal. Why constantly dwell on this? My family were Irish, and we were white slaves, indentured slaves. No one would give us a job. Irish need not apply. We were spit on as the scum of the earth by the British. We almost starved to death. How about say starved to death, since you're so precise? Research the history. Beat and torture. How about beaten and torture? I do not dwell on it. It is history, and I cannot change it. Africans enslaved Africans and sold them. They always point to that. None of us can be part of our past dwellings on it. Helps no one. Let's move forward together. That picture changes nothing. Let's all be strong, not weak-minded. Kim, you have always been a very reasonable person. A little shocked that you would even post such a picture. What do you say about that, KV?
And that guy's a very good dude. I guess people say, Kim, you're too kind or whatever, but he's actually a very good guy. I worked with him. He was a supervisor I worked with. And he's a good guy. He's posted a lot of good stuff on Facebook, reference issues kind of similar to this. It actually shocked me that he wrote what he wrote on here about this. I didn't expect him to be one of those guys to respond like he did. However, what I have to say about it is don't be shocked at what I put on there. I mean, because if I'm gonna put something on there, it's gonna be it's to start conversation. I love all people. Everybody that knows me know I love all people. And but this race issue, we got to talk about it, man. As I get older, yeah, we've seen a black president. So we've seen a black president. Everybody think because we've seen a black president that there's no more racism and blacks can do whatever they want to do. That's not true. That's simply not true. And you know it as well as I do, Dozell. All you got to do is walk a day in this skin that we live in, and they'll realize that things haven't changed. You know, just because of we had a black president and certain things are existent now. There are blacks that still can't get jobs because of their skin color. There are places, certain places we can't live because of skin color. There's a lot still going on. It's gotten better, but it's still a lot that goes on that and you never hear really people talk about it too much. That's why I put this type post on here so I can generate conversation. I want good, positive feedback, and I don't have to agree with you. Don't worry about that. I'm not putting it on there saying that you got to agree with what I'm saying, because I'm definitely not going to agree with some of the stuff that you're saying. So it's not about agreeing with each other, but just getting the topic out there and trying to talk about it. I went to our FOP president, a former FOP president, that's Fraternal Order of Police. That's our lodge, our fraternity. I went with him once. I went and talked to him once and said, this was in Trump's first term, because of all the different race issues that were going on because of him. I said, man, you know what, we need to get together and have a meeting at the FOP with all our officers, black and white, come together, and let's talk about this race issue. You know, put a couple of people up on a panel. Let's have a discussion on race issues going on in our city. Don't invite the media. Don't invite anyone but police officers in there. If you're not a police officer, you're not going to be allowed in there. And, you know, let's go in there and just chop it amongst each other and see what, let's get it all out on the table. That's my big thing. Let's get things out on the table and talk about it. Nobody wants to talk about it. Hiding our history ain't going to help nothing. You can't sweep it under the rug. It happened. And we know it happened. Just because you're ashamed of what your ancestors did, and that's what it's all about, they're ashamed of it. I get it. I'd be ashamed of it too if my ancestors did it. So I wouldn't want to sweep it on the rug, though I think people are entitled to know their history. And that's all I'm saying. You know, just don't void our history because you ashamed of it. That's
we're not going to let them void it. KV, we're going to come right back after the break, and we're going to pick up right here where we left off. Mac reminds us that FBI statistics proves just what you're saying, Kim, about that murder rate.
Yeah.
And, he reminds us that indentured slaves were indeed compensated. Just to throw it out there, because I don't know if he knew that we knew that. Okay. We'll be right back after the break, man. I'm so glad to have my brother KV on. We'll be right back after the break. GoGigaMax.com, all your virtual needs, they got them. Contact them, we're building all of that stuff. They got you. Hit them up, let them give you a consultation. Get right back to the dialogue. Just want to take a second and shout out all of those who are using their constitutional right, hear me good, to protest within the laws of the land. Everybody who is using the tactic of protest to protest within the laws of the nation. Particular state may have laws. Florida has done some Gestapo things that vital that right. But for those of you who are protesting and within the laws, hey man, California, our hats off to you. Don't blow it by falling into their hands. We're going to talk briefly about that in a minute. But everybody, use your right. Take it to the street. That's what helped us during the civil rights movement. That's what's going to help us through this immigration movement and all of these shots at democracy and all of these dots from 2700 Pennsylvania Avenue. Shout out to you. Keep up the good work. Make it good trouble, as the late John Lewis would say.
And I'm gonna jump in real quick and say that's why I wore this shirt that I have on tonight. No one is illegal on stolen land.
I like that.
So I had to wear it because of one of our topics we're talking about tonight. So I'm sorry, I just want to throw that out there. And it's a true statement. No, I've had this shirt for years. No one, before even Trump even ran, I had this shirt. The first time I had this shirt. No one is illegal on stolen land, you know. So that's something that they could take that chew on that for a while too. So
love that. Kim, what happened when what happened to that proposal that you made to the FOP president to have just police officers come in and deal with the topic of racism?
He actually thought it was a great idea because at the time things were a little bit different. The race issue was kind of raggedy here. He actually thought it was a good idea. And because I told him, I said, man, just think if the police officers come together and do this, you know, that might set an example for people out there in the streets, you know. But he thought it was a great idea, but he never, you know, made it happen. So I don't know if he mentioned it to someone and they shot it down. People, for some reason, don't want to talk about race, and I want to say race. They don't want to talk about racism, and that's the only way it's going to go away is if we talk about it. And like my you know Q, my boy Q, always say, is we don't want an apology. We just want you to acknowledge it, and once we acknowledge it, we can get past it. But you know, just don't sweep it on the rug and like it didn't. Things didn't happen. And don't act like things are still going on because, you know, yeah, we are allowed to, we have certain jobs that we couldn't hold back at one time, but they're still, they're still, you know, I worked for the NFL a while back and they came to me and when I was working for the Jaguars, the NFL was watching me for the first 10 years. They came to me and said that they wanted me to be head of the NFL here in Jacksonville. Each team has 2 security reps that work directly for the league office in New York. They wanted to make me the head guy. And the guy who was the head guy at the time was a partner of mine all the way from 1987 on the police department, white guy, real good dude. I love him. He always got my back, always got his back. He was the number 1 guy, I was the number 2 guy. After I did it the first year and he showed me the ropes on a lot of things, the league came to me and said, hey, we want to make you the head guy because we need to put more blacks in this position. And because I knew him and I knew him very well, I see you, Mike. What's going on, brother? He has a post reparative justice, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. But anyway, they want to make me the league, the head of the NFL security here and make him the number 2 guy. They want to reverse our roles. So I went to him, I said, man, I don't think that's right, man. You know, you done had this position for a number of years. When I was working for the Jags, you had this position. You had the number 2 position. You moved into the number 1 position. I don't think it's right that I come and take your position based on my skin color. And that's just how much I believe in, you know, people getting what they, you work hard and you get what you get. But at the same time, the league was coming and said they had to put more blacks in that position because they didn't have enough, you know, blacks in that position. And his answer was me, well, Kim, I'd rather you do it because if they don't make you the head guy, they're going to make someone else the head guy. They're going to pick somebody else. And I'd rather work with you than anybody else. So I took the position. I had it for 6 years and then I you know, left that position. But I just brought that up just to say, you know, I mean, I get the thing what people talk about, you know, work hard for what you get and you'll get what you get. I get that. I totally get that. But at the same time, there's still not a level playing ground. You got to level the playing ground in order for us to be able to get some of the things to make things right. I'll say it like that, make things right.
And if this guy, if he were to sit back and look over his career, I don't know where he ended up, what rank he ended up, but I guarantee you, he could look back and say there were points, maybe racism was not the crux of his being denied a promotion, but I'm sure there's some things that he'll look back and say that he was denied because somebody else, there was a prejudicial, there was an issue of prejudice or an issue of favoritism or an issue of unfairness. And I'm sure he has the same way. He just doesn't know it from a racism perspective.
And I have a lot of friends on the police department. Myself, I went to the police academy. I got into the police academy because the FBI was suing the department because there wasn't enough minorities. That was back in '80. I went to the police academy in '84, and they had 2 minority classes with a lot of minorities in it, mostly blacks in it. That I was in one of them because there wasn't enough minorities on the job, and the FBI was getting ready to sue the sheriff's office. So for a while, they was hiring, more blacks than whites, I guess. So just hiring more blacks than whites. Well, I have some white friends that are on the department that came along after that and said that, well, they felt it was wrong because they couldn't get on the police department because of their skin color. They were hiring blacks over them. And they said it should have went, based on your knowledge and all that. I get that. They were playing catch up. If they didn't have to play, if the field would have been level from the beginning, we would have never had to play catch up. And that's my point to them. Now you see how it felt for us for so many years trying to get on the department. We couldn't get on it because of the fact of our skin color. And so now you're going through the same thing that we went through for years and years. Once they felt like it was caught up, you can come on and now it's just like it always has been. You get out based on, who you are, but like I said, they had to level the playing field. If the field would have been level from the beginning, we never would have had to worry about it. Mike put a comment up and put that up again, Mike, if you got him producer.
You know what? Let's use that to segue, but let's play your what you posted on IG earlier.
Okay.
About this segment. Then it kind of encapsulate. Yes, we did have stuff. We did go out and build stuff, but this is what America did to it. Let's see.
And let me set that up. The purpose of that, just to set up. Yeah, you just set it up a little bit, but just set up a little bit more. I have friends that tell me in that same post that we're referring to on Facebook, people are saying I always believe that working hard for what I get. Well, this is what happened to us when we worked hard in the past, and I'm saying us, meaning my ancestors. We worked hard and we built our own. We were very independent. Didn't need anything. Wasn't dependent upon any race, anything. We built our own neighborhoods and grew our own banks and our own little community. And this is what happened time and time again.
President Trump, why would descendants of the transatlantic slave trade get reparations to leave if they were never in slavery? Oscarville, Georgia, 1912. White mobs violently expelled the entire black population. The land was later submerged under Lake Lanier to erase the evidence. East St. Louis, Illinois, 1917. Over 100 black residents were murdered in a white mob attack. Homes and businesses were burned while police stood down. Tulsa, Oklahoma, 1921. Black Wall Street was burned to the ground by white mobs with support from law enforcement. Up to 300 were killed, 35 city blocks destroyed. Rosewood, Florida, 1923. A white mob destroyed the entire town after a false accusation. Survivors fled to the woods, never returned. Detroit, Michigan, Paradise Valley, 30s to the 50s. Redlining locked blacks in the overcrowded zones. Later, I-75 was put right through the heart of Detroit's black business district and cultural center. Chicago, Illinois, Black Belt, 1930s to the 40s. Redlining confined black families to overcrowded housing. Banks refused to lend. The city created laws for residential segregation based on race. Vanport, Oregon, 1948. A flood destroyed housing for 18,000 residents, mostly black war workers. The government failed to warn them. No rebuilding followed. St. Louis, Missouri, Mill Creek Valley, 1959. The city demolished 5,000 black homes in the name of urban renewal. 20,000 residents were displaced without replacement housing. Miami, Florida, Overtown, 1950s. I-95 was put right through Overtown, a thriving black community. Residents and businesses were evicted, never compensated. Durham, North Carolina, Haiti District, 1960s. A self-sufficient black business district was wiped out by highway construction. No restoration or reparations were ever provided. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, move bombing, 1985. The city dropped a bomb on a black home, killing 11 people, including 5 children. 65 homes in the black neighborhood were destroyed. Baltimore, Maryland, highway to nowhere, 1970s. A highway project destroyed a black neighborhood and was never completed. The land was taken, the people were displaced. The road project totally abandoned. This is a testimony against your nation before heaven and earth. God is telling you, send the descendants of stolen people out of your land with their reparations, or he will destroy your land. We will help you at rep2025.org.
Wow. Well, Kim, you want to just put a period or a continuation? We may revisit this sometime in the near future.
Well, what I will say about that, a lot of that stuff that he brought up wasn't that long ago. You know, people think it was all, some of it was 1917 and some of it was really old. Lake Lanier is now cursed unexpected deaths yearly. Yeah, that's true, Matt. That Lake Lanier thing, a lot of that stuff wasn't that long ago. Some of it was even during my lifetime. And so, you know, I'm old dude. Born in '62. But some of that stuff actually occurred during my lifetime. I definitely remember some of the red line in the interstate going right through Overtown. I remember, actually remember when the Cubans came over, and they put them in cages under the bridge and fences around it and under the overpass that they built.
Wow.
You know, there's a lot that went on that was before my time, but there's some of that stuff went on during my time. So you ask me why I have to bring up and make these posts. That's exactly why right there. I don't know if they know that history of what happened to our people that tried to be productive in the past. I mean, we had our own communities, we had our own banks, hospitals, grocery stores, doctors. We had everything that any thriving community had. Black Wall Street was exactly that. Black Wall Street. It was that's why they called it Wall Street, but it was just black billionaires that lived there and all. And you know, for a mob of whites to come in and just burn it down to the ground, you know, and some of them were police officers. Some of them were supposed to be enforcing the law. They were with the group that came and burnt the town down. So know your history before you come at me with that bull. I ain't for it. You know, that's all I'm saying.
I'm down with you, bro. I was actually born in an all-black hospital there in Jacksonville, Brewster Hospital.
We all were.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all were.
Oh, okay. All right. I didn't know if you were. No, you weren't born. You were there when you were sick. I remember over to Baptist. That's why. Okay, cool. That's right. Okay.
Yeah. We all born at Brewster Hospital. Me, you, and Aaron are both born there.
Okay. All right. Let's move on to. I'm going to piggyback on. Well, not quite yet. What Max said. I want to kind of split the rest of the time and do a little fun stuff before we sign off tonight at 9 Eastern time. So it looks like this president has used. He strategically picked Los Angeles, a blue state with a blue governor, and
he's been belling with that governor forever. I like what the governor said on TV the other day. Big bully, go ahead and just arrest me. Stop messing with. You know, I don't know if you saw that or not. I like that.
I did. Yes, that was what
everybody knows. Trump's a bully. You know.
Yeah.
And I want to change the subject real quick, but that term MAGA, Make America Great Again, it was never great for black people. So that's a racist term that was used by the KKK back in the days. So that term by itself is racist. If it was used by the KKK, why would he use the same term that the KKK used? You know, and if he knew that the KKK used it, why does he think it's okay to use it today?
Trump doesn't care. He plays to
he
that.
Don't care, and that's my point. People say he's not racist and all that, but I mean, he don't care. You know,
three and a half years ago, you went down a litany. When I asked the question, is Trump really prejudiced, or does he use that to appeal to that base? And you went down a litany of things that would say yes, he has a proven track record of being racist. And so you don't play with fire if you don't have some of that gas in your own system. Well, anyway, that's why I said it at midpoint. Use this magnificent tool we have, the protest, but don't play into his hands. He has the update is that he has, of course, gone over the governor's head and brought in the National Guard. And my classmate Bernard Mason sent me, just before we went on, he sent me a video of a brother who has a podcast similar to this, who cited the California laws and the federal laws that Trump has already broken with the hopes, and of course Governor Newsom says he's going to sue him, and Mayor Bass says that, and the California State Attorney General said they're going to sue him for what he's already done. And now he has a batch of 700 U.S. Marines. He threatened that. They are now going. And let me ask you this before we get out of this and go to part 2 of 47. Do you think, how would you feel, and you are a more recent police officer than I was, how would you feel if you, as a resident of the state, as a National Guards person, if they're put in a position like Kent State, where you have to aim at a person who may not be it fits the criteria of life threatening, but you can make a decision, a human being's decision. How would you feel about that? And I'm putting you on the spot. I heard that on the Karen Hunter show this evening. And
Actually, it's funny you asked that, because I was looking at he's sending the National Guard into California, and I was thinking some of those National Guard people are of brown skin, and I was thinking, how would they feel going there to do that? So I don't know how I feel about it, really. I believe in standing up for what I think is right. It's kind of like Ali when he said, he's not going to war because none of those Viet Cong people ever called him the N-word. They never did anything to him. That was America's war. I don't know if I would, being a law enforcement officer, I would probably go ahead and do my job, but I'll make sure that I'm not, I guess I won't say not violate someone's rights. I'll make sure, of course, I'm going to make sure I'm not violating their rights, even though I don't think what's happening is actually really right, because no one is illegal on stolen land. But I would make sure nobody is abused. I would say at least while they're in my hands or in my sight, no one is abused to my ability. I might even call in sick that day. I don't know.
if I think, and I was thinking about the same thing. If I was pressed in a position and someone would really have to be threatening in my life, and you were much better shot than I was, but I think I'd be missing a lot of shots on purpose. They call me in, court martial me if I was a guardsman or if I was a Marine. We do. I don't know, Mac, how'd you feel if you were pressed in that position? But
we'll have to have Mike on the show one day, man.
Well, I like to do that. Let's do that.
Mike on the show. He always got some good contributions and comments and all that. We're gonna have to have him co-host with us one day.
Let's do that. He's a little camera shy, I think, but I have no issue with that. I'd love to have him on here. So let's set that up in the near future. Next week, upcoming week. Next week, I got a show we've had in the can for a while, but in the upcoming weeks, if this craziness doesn't exist, Kim, isn't it ironic that we were having these shows 3.5 years ago, and for 4 years there was nothing like this. There were no protests. Just a man we call Papa Joe, whatever they call him, cleaning up the mess, trying to normalize the country, and maybe a lot of ideological differences, but we weren't getting into this kind of stuff. Brought us out of COVID. Let's not go back. The other thing, Kim, is Elon Musk, the war that they had on Thursday, the Twitter war and the Truth Social war that they had. I was away, but I could get two stations, MSNBC at two American stations, MSNBC and Fox News. And of course, Fox News was not dealing. One commentator was saying, "Listen, this bromance is hitting a little snag. Let's work through it, fellas, because the stakes are too high." But of course, MSNBC was running rampant with it. And I just wonder if you think that was an okie doke, man.
With the what I think were fake assassinations, you can't tell with 47, man. You can't never really tell what's going on. I'm not a big Elon Musk fan. I didn't know much about him until he came out from darkness with Trump. But this is just my thing. I think about it all the time. He won he swept the polls when he won this year. And it just made me think about he bought Elon Musk in a long time ago, who's a computer genius. And I hope he didn't do anything with the polls and all that kind of stuff, but that's been rumored. I don't know if you heard that. That's been rumored in the past that Musk did some stuff with the computers, make it what Trump possibly won the way he won with a landslide like he did. Everybody I talked to, I won't say everybody I talked to, but there was a lot of people that I talked to who was not supporting him. And that's Republicans as well. They weren't supporting him because they saw his fiasco the first 4 years that he had. And they were tired of him. So, this year, more Republicans are telling me they're not going to support him if he does fix it where he can run a third term like he's trying to set it up. If he does end up running a third term, a lot of my Republican friends are saying they're definitely not. They're cutting the ties with him. They're sick of. The the stuff he's doing in office, and it's not just Elon Musk that left. His first administration. I mean, his first 4 years, there was probably 40, 50 people that left him. And some of them were indicted. Some of them went to jail. Some of them had to testify against him. What other president has that happened with? There's so much stuff that happens with this guy that hasn't happened with any other president. And if that doesn't make you look at him and say something's up with this dude, you all up his butt. I mean, I can't say nothing else about it, you know?
Yeah.
My language, but you all up his butt. So Mike's got Elon needs the government to maintain his wealth. However, he will cozy up to whoever is in power. I agree with that, Mike. Do you agree with that, dog?
Yeah, I think what he did the other day was threw some feelers out to what's left of the Democratic Party. It's really in shambles right now.
Yeah.
And he didn't. I don't know if he felt that the Democratic Party was strong enough to ally with, put his money in for the upcoming elections, or what. But he is mysteriously silent to him. That's why I asked, was it an okie-doke or was it a floating balloon, just to see? We will see over the next few weeks. I'm
definitely not ready to trust him yet, for sure. I mean, if he doing that to try and, he put, like you said, he did test the waters when he made that about Democrat, made that comment, but I sure ain't ready to trust that joke yet, man. It'll take the rest of this time to Trump off with office to make me a believer with him.
What's interesting that you said that about Trump running for a third time. A few weeks ago, he said on Meet the Press, I don't think I'll run again. Well, I don't think he would need to run again. This whole thing with sending the Marines out and the National Guard and the Marines out. Remember the states' rights? He has kind of well overstepped this, and this could be a test case, because we all know there's going to be a real test case with the courts. Anything he wants, it gets escalated quickly on the schedule of the Supreme Court. But we know there's going to be some serious test case and some constitutional crises. We've already seen miniature versions of them, and we're going to see strong versions of them during the course. And what they're saying is he is just going to have the Marines or the armed forces say he's going to use the Insurrection Act, which he didn't use the last few days. He was in office on January 6th of 2020. He didn't use them then, but he's going to use that come election time. They're saying he may even do it during the midterms in 2026. He's going to use them to to void elections. Kind of the guy Victor down in Venezuela, right out of his page book, out of an autocrat's page book, and say, the country is not safe. We've got to do this. And then we're going to see if the armed forces are going to have the heart to stand up for the Constitution against a deranged wannabe autocrat. We're going to see if that. I pray that doesn't come to that. But we got people that's pushing in that direction. He doesn't have the safeguards around him in the White House or nowhere else, and the Congress is just meal. And of course, they'll support that to stay in office and find a way to justify it. Mike Johnson.
I don't think his health's going to allow him to do a third term either. He's getting older, and I don't think his health's going to allow him to have a third term.
We'll see. We'll see if somehow that happens, and this other guy behind him, he's just as worse. He's a younger, more articulate and more intelligent version, and that would be just as worse. So we'll see. We'll see what directions. Let's head out here over the next minute or so, talking something fun. What are you thinking about the NBA playoffs, championship series?
First of all, I ain't got a dog in this fight because I'm not a big fan of neither one of these teams. I'm pulling for not Indianapolis, in Indiana. I'm pulling for Indiana, the Pacers to pull it out. I know it ain't gonna happen. I think they've won their only game they're gonna win. I think it's gonna be 5-1, and I think OKC gonna take it from here. So
I love what Mac's saying. I'm with you. That's my choice also. And Mac, that optimism that you express, I'm loving that and living with that. And we'll see how that happens. The Panthers, I think, come on tonight also. One other thing, I don't know if you've been paying any attention to this. I'm the NBA junkie. The New York Knicks fired Tom Thibodeau while I was out. Did you pay any attention to that, Kim?
I saw where they fired him, and I haven't really followed the NBA this year all the way up to till the playoffs, and that's when I started watching it more this year. But I thought, here's my thing about firing coaches. Some coaches can put all the right X's and O's on the board, but if your team don't get out there and what's the word I'm looking for? If they don't get out there and
Execute.
That's exactly the word I'm looking for. If they don't get out there and execute, then they can put any coach out there, and it's not going to make it any better. I think New York was one player away from making a difference. They need one other person. They need that triangle. I haven't followed New York at all, but I'm gonna tell you, I was impressed with them guys. They don't do a lot of flopping, and when they get a foul called on them, they go turn around and run down court. They're arguing with the referee and everything. That won me over this year. I started actually pulling for New York about that fifth game. I started pulling for them for that reason. I'm a Heat fan, and that's my team, and then the Lakers. I'm a Heat fan and a Laker fan. So if those teams aren't playing, I don't have a dog in the fight. So but I thought I don't. How long has Thibodeau been in New York?
Is it 5 years, 6 years? Maybe.
He's been there 5 years. Might be time. I don't know. Might be his time. So I like I said, just me jumping into the playoffs this year and following them and watching them. I thought they pulled the gun on him a little quick, but I don't know.
He's taking them further than anybody that's taking him in 25. I think 25 or 25 years. I think he's gotten to the end to the conference finals. So something happened in those exit interviews that caused his demise. The search for his replacement, Mark Malone, who just recently led the Denver Nuggets, who was fired with 3 games left in the season, I think is going to surface as the number one candidate. They want Jason Kidd. They made it known, but I don't think Jason Kidd is dying to leave what he has coming in, and what he's going to have over the next 2 or 3 years with that combination of Cooper Flagg, Anthony Davis, and Kyrie coming back probably in next year. I don't think he's dying. We got to get out of here, man.
I just saw where Mac put that they trying to trade Cat. They looking to trade Cat. That's a mistake to me. I think they need to build on what they got. And that boy Brunson, man, I was impressed with him. That dude, that's a tough little guy. You don't see guards that don't complain and all that. He get knocked down, get fouled, he get right back and run down court. He won me over. And Cat
showed me something this year.
He showed me something this year, and he made some dumb mistakes as well too. But I mean, I think they put the right player with them. Add one more player with them, they might have something. They might be a contention team.
Right before we go there, as I said, I'm gonna leave it to you tonight, Kim, to bring that to us. I think that the Knicks' issue is that they are devoid of capital. They traded 5 people for Bridges, 5 first-round picks for Bridges. And they are really hurting over the Knicks because they had a lot of picks, but they traded a lot of them away, and a couple of them being their own picks. So they're going to be kind of their draft capital is going to be weak to put together a good. So they're going to maybe make a trade deep into their bench to bring in a couple, but they're not going to be able to make great moves. So we'll see how that works out. Kim, how I see it, man.
Well, in a nutshell, and I'm going to base my how I see it on what we discussed tonight. And I want to thank Mac and everybody for joining in. Whoever else joined in didn't comment. I thank you for joining in. How I see it is this, man. I love people. I'm a people person. I love people. I can start a conversation with anybody. But when I see something that's not right, I'm going to call it out. People are upset because of that post I put on Facebook. If that upset you, I think you got a problem. It shouldn't have upset you. If anything, it should have made you want to talk about it. But to upset you, to see white people in chains, and the blacks as the masters, if that upsets you that much, that kind of makes me wonder. I see it that if the roles were reversed, then they just were reversed. And it could have been reversed. You never know. But anyway, I see it. I think, man, that we need to just communicate with each other. I think communication is key. I always say this about race. ism that communication is key. That's the only way we're going to get this thing behind us. We'll never get it behind us trying to sweep it under the rug with this DEI and all that junk that the governor and the president are trying to do. Take our books out of the classroom, our history out of the classrooms. I can remember learning about Black history, learning about the certain Black, heroes back in the day. I can remember that from 2nd and 3rd grade. I can remember talking about it. I remember our Negro national anthem. It's so much that I remember about Black history that was taught to me from school, along with what I learned from you and other members of my family. So that's the way I see it. I mean, we can't sweep this thing under the rug. We got to discuss it. Until Trump get out of office, I don't see it happening because he just ain't gonna go that route. But I think we need to talk about it. We got to chop it up. We got to stop hiding behind it. So, and that's the only way we'll ever come together as a people, I think.
Thanks for bringing those points out, Kim. When the governor took Black history out of our curriculum in our schools and our universities, Faith in Florida was the leader in bringing Black history training, putting together a toolbox, not a curriculum, but a toolbox for churches, community organizations, sororities, fraternities, and all of the places where Black history could be taught. Ironically, a lot of white churches have sought it out from Faith in Florida and received it. Well, unfortunately, organizations like Faith in Florida have been attacked by their funders. Their funders have been threatened to lose their 501(c)(3) status by the current.
That's pitiful, man. That's pitiful.
Yeah, and Faith in Florida is currently in a fundraising posture to help offset faith. We've lost 67% of our workforce, and I don't want to talk about everything that's been lost. I just want to say that if you are interested, and we'll make a donation to Faith in Florida, just contact the dialogue. I didn't give the producers adequate time to put the there's a template that gives a place where you can. Oh, there it is. Okay, go back, look at that. Just look at the website down at the bottom, or scan the QR code, and help donate. We have done a magnificent job. I've been on my back, but still working to this end. We've done a magnificent job towards that goal of $100,000, so that we can go to other funders and say, we're not giving up the fight. There's a gubernatorial election coming up. There are some special state Senate seats and representative seats that are going on at the end of this month. So we're still fighting. We're 501(c), so we don't directly get into, but we do register, mobilize, and educate people on the whole voter education process. We teach Black history, and we share Black history toolbox, and we organize communities. KB, thanks for the night, man. Hope to see you again over the upcoming weeks.
It's good to be back, man. I'm not working this summer, so I'm off at night. So hopefully I'll be back on the show. And like I said, man, we got to bring Mike into it, man. Mike's been steady with us. He always on time with his comments. Yes. And that's my Oi from back in the day. So we used to call each other Oi instead of boy. That's my Oi. So thanks for your comments, and anybody else who tuned in tonight. If you didn't comment, thank you for commenting. Thank you for joining us. So.
Mate, we got you, man. We got you. We're going to be contacting you next week. This show has been in the cans for quite a while. It's the In Living Color Look Back. The look back at that most innovative comedic series by Keenan Ivory Williams, In Living Color. Let's all laugh together next week. I got a hilarious comedian that's coming with us who was on the cruise ship. He's going to be coming with us over in September when he comes back over into the States. In Living Color next week. Dialogue with Dozie. Hey, Go Giga. Thank you so much.
Thank you, my dear niece, Madam Producer.